Support.
The maestro, please!
We're getting towards the end of the summer, so I guess everyone is just releasing everything now. This'll be for the week of
August 27th, 2019.
On this day in music back in 2015 at the MTV Video Music Awards, Kanye West announced that he would run for president in the 2020 election. And I guess we all know how that's gonna work out.
Let it be. And when the
So they do have some original material on here, but most people tend to focus on their covers, and it's always interesting to see what they do with them, so I guess I understand why. Well, we only got one more day to go, and day 7 is inevitably going to chart, but the real question is, once the complete 7 days walking package is released, is that itself going to chart as the entire collection?
Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing.
I guess the most interesting thing about this album is that the title track that I just played you, Crossroads, seems to have been released as a single on its own because it had its own cover art. At least I hope that's the case. You don't see that very often with smooth jazz albums. So if you're a fan of the group, I highly recommend checking this album out as the entire group wrote together. So if it sounds a bit more complex than what you're used to, that would be why.
Singing, I love rock and roll. Said I won't hold, said I won't hold, said I won't hold, said I won't hold, said I won't hold.
Obviously, if you're a fan of Sleater-Kinney, you've probably already picked this up, but what I will say is that if you're a fan of St. Vincent, most notably her Mass Seduction album, I recommend you pick this up as well, as St. Vincent was the producer for the entire album. If you talk to fans of Killswitch Engage, they'll tell you they probably had to wait for this album a bit longer than they wanted to. Jesse Leach, the lead singer of the group, ended up developing some scar tissue on a polyp in his throat, and therefore had to undergo some vocal therapy, which obviously set things back a bit. Regardless, he's all better now, and here's the album.
Baby, keep it real with his people. Baby, like a preacher. Baby, probably still sell reefer.
Baby, probably still got them bowls. I told my bitch I'm faithful, but I still got the hoes. Baby, getting jiggy.
This album really goes to show you just how big Quality Control really is. They got some big names like the Migos, Lil Yachty, and the City Girls, especially after that one Drake song. But there are also some really big features on here like Meek Mill, Travis Scott, Mustard, and Gucci Mane, just to name a few.
I can see it in your eyes.
This album caught me completely by surprise. Was not expecting a live album from Lionel Richie. While listening to this, it was very, very hard just to stop myself from singing along, especially because the crowd's doing it as well.
I'm at that London with some big thighs. No fries, cheese steaks with the fish size. Then your mama tell you when something on fire, stop, drop, and roll. Yeah.
I'm always astonished when things like this come out and it's their debut album. I'm like, surely this is not the debut. There was On the Run and Beautiful Thugger Girls, but those were EPs and mixtapes. So yes, this is technically his first studio album, and oddly enough, we're already expecting the second one later this year. ILLENIUM's third studio album, and yes, this does have the Chainsmokers ILLENIUM collaboration track Takeaway on it, so if you're impatient waiting for World War Joy, you can check out ILLENIUM for a while. If you're big into the EDM industry, this is going to be a bit more on the poppier side, and that comes from one of my colleagues who I typically go to for anything EDM related, so shout out to Neil.
And now I need some help from the maestro, please.
Cause I don't care when I'm with my baby, yeah. All the bad things disappear. You're making me feel like maybe I am somebody.
Apparently, he's going to take an extended break from music a while to just enjoy life and spend time with his wife. So hopefully this will satiate your Ed Sheeran tastes for a while.
I'm the bad
Bad Guy ended up following to number 2 this week. I figured it wasn't going to be up there that long, but I imagine it would have stayed up a bit longer. Regardless, it dethroned Old Town Road, and that is still something.
Baby, keep it real with these people. Baby, like a preacher. Baby, probably still sell reefer.
Baby probably still got them bows. I told my bitch I'm faithful, but I still got the hoe. Baby getting jiggy.
My favorite thing about this album is that Lil Baby and DaBaby finally got together to make a song, and the song's called Baby.
I can see it in your eyes.
I was surprised with this album's release. I was even more surprised to see that it was number 2. Shout out to Lionel Richie, the man has still got it.
I'm at that London with some big thighs. No fried cheese steaks with the fish sides. Then your mama tell you when something on fire, stop driving road. Yeah.
I imagine it's quite a good feeling when your debut album becomes number 1. Apparently people were having as much fun with it as he was. Quite a little bit of everything to add to your end of the summer playlist so you can finish the season strong.
And now I need some help out of my stove, please. My stove.